Hey guys, J-Hoid here. Before we get into today's video, we've been making the push and you guys have been showing a tremendous amount of support on the channel. So if you haven't, or if you're brand new to my channel, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button, turn those post notifications so you never miss an upload. Don't forget, you can always change your mind later. But with the conclusion of the Stage 3 League matches, it is now time for the Stage 3 Major. What's on, guys? J-Hoid back with you. Today, welcome back to Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. We got a pair of gameplays for you in the background, so I hope you guys do enjoy that. But today, like I said in the intro, Stage 3 is officially done and dusted. Some teams struggling, some teams remaining at the top. We're here to cover the entire major. But let's give you guys a quick recap of what happened in group play. So on your screen now is gonna be Group A, and that's gonna feature the Toronto Ultra, Florida Mutineers, Dallas Empire, Minnesota Rocker, LA Guerrillas, and the Paris Legion. And you guys can see the records down there on that right side. Toronto a perfect 5-0. Right, perfect gameplay from them, almost this close from not even losing a map. 15-1 map count for these guys. They look to be on a completely different level. You have Florida Mutineers, the Dallas Empire, both 3-2. You have the Minnesota Rocker, who are 2-3. Then you have LA Guerrillas and Paris Legion, 1-4. So, you know, things to take from this group. You know, we have some roster changes. We have some, rosters still figuring some stuff out. And you have a Toronto Ultra squad who still seems to be red hot. But let's jump over to Group B. And oh boy, was this one a good one. I think it went down to almost the last match of everything to figure out the standings for this one. So first place, we got the New York Subliners. Now, you wouldn't necessarily expect this team to be here, not necessarily in first place, but due to tiebreakers and a couple other things, these guys end up getting first place. You know, this team, ever since they picked up Hydra, has been looking even better than before. So these guys have been on a roll. And then a FaZe gets in that second place spot, 4-1 as well. LA Thieves, you know, new addition of Hook, they're 3-2 now. Optic Chicago, a very rough Stage 3 for them. They finished 2-3. London finishes 2-3 as well. And down at the bottom there, the Seattle Surge, 0-5. So not really what you want to see if you're a Surge fan. 0-5. You know, they made a roster change as well. We'll get into that one once we start getting into the matches. But season standings up to date here on your screen. Atlanta still in first, Dallas in second, New York in third, Optic in fifth, LA Thieves in sixth, Minnesota in seventh, Florida in eighth. Bottom four of LA Guerrillas, Paris Legion, London, and Seattle, all in those bottom four, 9 through 12 respectively there. So, you know, these guys have not been performing too great, but all of that sets us up for the Stage 3 Major, which is going to be the next thing we're covering, the CDL Stage 3 Major. You guys can see the bracket on your screen now. We're going to be starting down there in the Elimination Bracket. And I know throughout all of these videos, I keep saying Losers Bracket, Elimination Bracket, and intermixing them. But I'm going to start trying to call it what it is, the Elimination Bracket, right? In all my notes, it says elimination, not losers. So we're going to try to make that adjustment on the back end here so that way you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. But let's start with Elimination Bracket Round 1. We got the LA Guerrillas and the Seattle Surge. So coming into, I believe it was the entirety of Stage 3, LAG makes a roster change. Plain and simple, their new roster: Assault, Silly, Apathy, and Chino. So they swap out arguably their best player in Vivid. They then put in Chino from their academy roster. and it just doesn't make sense, right? Despite whatever problems you had on that roster, you just gave up your future, right? Vivid, I think he's like, what, 20 or 21 years old, definitely looked by far your best player. Then you bring in Chino, who's hasn't done anything, right? They had the same thing last year with, what was it, the Optic Gaming LA squad, and just haven't looked good, right? Despite that, you could have built easily around Vivid and Silly. Apathy and Assault, you know, Apathy especially has not been there for them. You know, they need someone, you know, better and can slay more than Apathy. So, you know, that's a questionable decision, but we'll have to see how they do, you know, after that roster change. But Seattle, though, also is a new roster going into this one, so they end up dropping Looney. They pick up Decimate. So with a new roster of Octane, Gunless, Pristini, and Decimate, you know, it looks to be better, right? Not necessarily Looney was the problem, but you know, everyone, that's kind of the only player you can really do anything with and possibly upgrade that position. Unfortunately, just due to the veteran presence on that team, you know, Looney kind of is going to get scapegoated in this case. But you know, old rivals, these two teams from last year. This one definitely a toss-up. You know, Seattle, they've struggled. They haven't really done too well. You know, 0-5, 4-15 map count. And, you know, what's kind of interesting about this matchup is Seattle is only 2 matches in with their new roster. So still figuring things out, and we could definitely see them, you know, beat LAG in this one. LAG themselves, I mean, you know, they make a roster change. They haven't looked much better, but I think LAG might be just a little bit better right now. And, you know, this one's a battle of 2 of the bottom 4 teams in the game. This one, we're predicting Los Angeles Guerrillas to walk away with a 3-1. Second matchup of Elimination Bracket Round 1. We got the London Royal Ravens versus the Paris Legion. Once again, we got 2 of the bottom 4 teams. London, you know, they have improved a little bit, but not very much. Is it going to be enough to make an impact in any of these tournaments or even in the league? No. This team is not playing for anything. Like, they're not doing too much of anything. And yeah, this team just not going anywhere. Paris, you know, they made the roster change with Temp. I think that was, you know, midway through last stage, if I remember correctly. I don't remember exactly when the date was. But even with the roster change, they haven't done too much, right? There's like 1-4, and they're just not doing too well. So they might have to make another roster change, try to add some new talent into there. Maybe that'll help them, but as for right now, London, again, similar to the other matchup, London looks a little bit better. Let's move them on in the game 5. We're staying down in the elimination bracket. We got the LA Guerrillas versus Optic Chicago. We've already mentioned LAG and, you know, what they've kind of been up to this year. And, you know, they don't really look great, but I think they're good enough to beat the Surge in that matchup. But then we look at Optic Chicago. Obviously, I'm an Optic fan at heart, right? Part of the green wall, right? Say it right on my Twitter feed. If you don't follow me, at jhoyt74, down there in the description as well. But these guys are struggling, and I hate to say it, but this team is struggling. Anytime they've been playing against the top teams, they just don't show up right now. I don't know if it's you know, a tactical thing or a strategy thing or a position thing or whatever it may be, but these guys are not showing up against the top teams, right? This team, you know, they're beating the bottom teams, right? So they're beating the Londons, the Seattles, the Parises, the LAGs. They're beating those teams. But once you get up to the Minnesotas, the Floridas, even those like mid-tier teams, they're having problems with. And then once they face off against Atlanta, which they just did as their last match, they got absolutely smoked. And obviously there was a big controversy around that matchup with servers and stuff. But still, Atlanta has looked really good, and Optic has been struggling. So, you know, what's going to be in this matchup? Well, we kind of said it, right? 2-3 for Optic. This stage, 8-10 map count. I think they'll win. Optic will win this matchup just because of the lower tier of this team in LAG. But Optic going forward has got to bring the fire, right? The teams they could possibly be playing against after this matchup, they're gonna need it, right? They're gonna need to step up if they want to make a run in this turn. So I'm predicting Optic to walk away with probably a 3-0, maybe a 3-1, depending on how all the respawns go. second match in Elimination Bracket Round 2 has the London Royal Ravens versus the Minnesota Rocker. Now this one could be interesting, right? Really could be a good one. Minnesota, though, needs this win. Now, I don't mean that as far as a positional thing, as far as the standings go, but as far as these guys had their honeymoon period, right? They had a really good stage 2 after they made the roster change with Standy, and now they need to win because they have fallen off, right? They don't look nearly the same team as stage 2, right? They definitely fallen off. They haven't been there. They need to beat London to, kind of prove that they're still, in the running for that mid-card team right now. But London, though, they might be able to beat teams like Seattle, Paris, and LAG, but in this one, I think Minnesota might be a little bit too strong for them. Not that Minnesota's been great. Is there upset potential? Yes. But this one, we're predicting Minnesota 3-0. We gotta, though, jump up to the winners side of this bracket. Features an absolute banger, right? Two of the top 2 teams in the game, Atlanta FaZe versus the Dallas Empire. Now this one should be good, right? Atlanta has been looking super good. They just smoked Optic, which hurts in my heart to say, but after watching that one, I mean, it was a quick series. So Atlanta still looking good, still dominating, still playing at the top of their game. But then they go against Dallas, right? These guys made probably the worst roster change of all time. They dropped Hook. Yeah, you heard me. They dropped Hook for Fellow. Now, Fellow, no disrespect towards him. He was playing in the challenger scene, playing well. But still, you just dropped Hook. Like, Hook is arguably one of the best players in the game. But, again, things didn't work out. But after dropping Hook for Fellow, they've been 1-1. They're 3-4 map count. But they're facing Atlanta. Atlanta has been the best team all year long. So in this one, we're predicting this one 3-0 in favor of Atlanta. Our second match of a winner's bracket round 1 is going to feature the Florida Mutineers versus the LA Thieves. Now, Florida actually had a pretty good stage, right? They beat Dallas, they beat LA Gorillas, and they beat Minnesota. So they beat a good team, a mid-tier team, and a low-tier team. So how much of that can you really, make of that? I don't remember when Florida actually beat Dallas, whether it was, pre-roster change or post-roster change. But can they keep that up, right? They beat Dallas. They beat Minnesota, 2 relatively good teams. Can they keep it up for the major, though? On the other hand, we have the LA Thieves, who just picked up, who we were just talking about, Hook, on an already really good team that's been improving. And they've only played 1 match, though. That's the thing. They've only played 1 match. Now, obviously, they're going to be scrimming. They're going to be playing games, before the major starts. But can LA keep improving? Can they continue on and hopefully introduce Hook into their team and eventually get him on, the same page as the rest of the squad? And where can they go from there? Will this move make them better? They got Hook. They dropped TJ Haley down to the bench. So what's he going to do on this team? We're going to have to wait and find out because obviously 1 match is not going to prove everything. But in this one, we're predicting LA Thieves to walk away with a 3-0. Let's jump to winners bracket round 2. We got Atlanta FaZe versus the Toronto Ultra. The battle of the league's best 2 teams without question right now. A perfect stage for Toronto. 15-1 map count, 5-0. Overall as far as their matches went. And yeah, it's tough to bet against these guys, that's for sure. But again, you got Atlanta on the other side, who's been the best team all year long. Could we see these 2 teams in the grand final? Probably, yeah. So of course it might be a little bit of a spoiler, but these 2 teams have been the best teams there has been so far. And although, I do think Toronto is a good team and a very good team right now, I think Atlanta, though, will be coming off that big victory versus Dallas. I think they'll walk away with this one. Could be a very close series. I'm going Atlanta 3-1. Our second matchup of winners bracket round 2 is going to feature the New York Subliners versus the LA Thieves. And both these teams just made roster changes, right? We talked about LA Thieves bringing on Hook. we have New York Subliners bringing on Hydra. And both of these teams are improving, right? Even before LA Thieves brought on Hook, these guys were getting better, right? With the addition of Draza and Venom, these guys have been looking really good, right? They've taken on some top teams. I think New York Subliners and Optic, most notably that I can remember. New York, kind of the same story, beating some top teams. This one could easily be a toss-up. I think, though, in the end, I think LA Thieves, with the addition of Hook, will be the better team. I'm predicting LA Thieves to walk away with the 3-1. We got to jump down, though, to the Elimination Bracket round 3 and catch up with the Dallas Empire versus Optic Chicago. Now, we've talked about it. I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but Optic not in good form, right? They are struggling versus the top teams, and they need to figure it out, right? They got to figure out how to beat these teams. Plain and simple. You know, they're definitely falling down the power rankings fast right now. Not down to like the bottom 4, but I think on mine, I think I have them down in like 5th or 6th right now. So they got to figure it out. They got to do something. I'm not saying roster change, but I'm saying something's got to work. Whether they rework how they play these maps or something, but they need to figure it out, right? Dallas, though, they dropped Hook, right? But they've been kind of, I don't want to say average, but they've kind of been iffy since they've kind of been the same thing since after they made that change. They've been 1-1. I think it was what, 3 and 4 map count. I think we covered earlier. So Dallas, though, has looked a little bit better, right? Dallas on the 3-game losing streak. They have not looked good. This one, it hurts my heart, but Optic Gaming just doesn't have it right now. They got to figure something out. This needs to be the wake-up call, because with Stage 4 right around the corner and the Stage 4 Major being on land, now's the time they got to make whatever changes necessary they need to make if they want to, like, stop this slump right now. Which puts, it hurts, Dallas gonna be winning this one 3-1, moving them on. Second matchup of Elimination Bracket round 3 is gonna feature the Florida Mutineers and the Minnesota Rock. Now these two teams have been kind of equally matched, right? You know, Minnesota had their time, Florida had their time. You know, Florida is on a little bit of a good swing here with a good Stage 3. Honestly, take a coin, flip it, there's your winner. But in this one, we're going to pick Minnesota to win this one 3-1. We got to go, though, to Elimination Bracket round 4. Is going to feature another banger of a matchup. We got the Toronto Ultra versus the Dallas Empire. So from the last series, you want to grab that coin, bring it into this one. Both these teams could, I don't want to say easily get this win, but both these teams could get this win. But Toronto, though, has been on another level, right? Like I've said, like I'm going to continue to say, 5-0, 15-1 map count. I mean, it's hard to bet against that, and in this one, we're not going to. Toronto walking away with the game for victory. Second matchup of Elimination Bracket round 4 is going to feature the New York Subliners versus the Minnesota Rocker. Once again, we've talked about it. Minnesota had their time. They've improved, but their honeymoon period is over. New York Subliners, though, have gotten better. They've looked great. They get #1 in this group. I think they definitely walk away with this one. Could be 3-0. I'm going to predict, though, New York 3-1. So New York moves on, and they face another tough challenge in Elimination Bracket round 5. Toronto Ultra comes to town. Similar story as last time. New York Subliners have been good. Toronto, though, again, on another level, and are definitely deserving of going to those grand finals, but they're going to have one more stop in the way. This one, we're predicting Toronto to walk away with a 3-1. But in order to send someone to the grand finals, we got to go back up to the winners bracket finals. We're going to have Atlanta FaZe versus the LA Thieves. In this one, LA has shown they're the real deal. They get even better with Hook, but Atlanta doesn't go away. They're still arguably the best team in the league right now. LA Thieves definitely could win this one. I don't think they're going to have it, though, against Atlanta. We're predicting Atlanta moves on to the grand finals of the Elimination Bracket finals between LA Thieves and Toronto Ultra. Which brings us to that Elimination Bracket finals. We got the Toronto Ultra versus the LA Thieves. We've had some similar stories as before. LA Thieves, whatever you want to call them. These guys have been improved. They're going to have their time to be in the spotlight, but I don't think that's going to be right now in this major. They have Hook now. We could see an upset, but Toronto Ultra, do I need to say it again, had a perfect, and I mean a almost perfect, with the very small blemish of one map loss, right? 15-1 map count, 5-0. It's been hard to bet against them. It's been hard to beat them. Will LA Thieves do it? I'm going to say no. Toronto's going to move on to the grand finals with a winning total of 3-1. That's going to set up our grand finals. Look familiar? Well, it should. We're going to have Atlanta FaZe versus the Toronto Ultra. They've been the best two teams in this one. It's going to be a great matchup. What was the last time? 5-3 or something like that. Toronto won this one in the last major. You know, Toronto's been on a different level. Atlanta has been the best team all year long. You know, do you want to pick between those two? Well, I sure don't. But in the sake of this one, I mean, it's so tough because both these teams deserve to win. I mean, Atlanta's looked good overall. Toronto's been looking real good overall. I'm going to go with what you'd call to be an upset, but not really. I'm predicting the Toronto Ultra to win this one. Back-to-back majors. You know, give them a score. Let's go round 9. I think it's another best of 9. Let's go 5-4. Round 11. Simp versus CleanX. Someone's going to win. It's going to be Toronto Ultra. 5-4. Round 11. It's going to be a good one, that's for sure. We've got lots of big storylines going into this one. Some big teams that are struggling. Some teams that, you know, made roster changes that are flourishing this upcoming weekend. And it all is going to wait for, I think it's that Wednesday matchup or Thursday match. I think it's Thursday now. We're going to have like 4 matches that day. 4 matches on Friday. I think we'll go to 4 or 5 matches on Saturday, something like that. But I can't wait for it. I'm definitely going to be watching. I hope you are too. But with all that being said, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up here. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button down below. Let me know all of your thoughts and comments down there in that comment section. And if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button down there as well. Turn on those post notifications so you never miss an upload. Don't forget, you can always change your mind later. With all that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one.
In the shadows.